Hello, my name's Katie Rushworth and today I want to talk to you about houseplants. Now, I'm technically an outdoor gardener, so they are not my strength or haven't been in the past, but my love of them has forced me to learn more about them and experiment with them in my own home. And these are the plants that I grow at home that I know are really easy to look after and maintain. The first one is an Aspidistra, or the Victorians called it a cast iron plant, for the reason that it can cope with pretty much anything. It will grow in a really shady part of the house, it needs very little in terms of watering, and it rarely gets any pests and diseases. So it's a real great plant if you don't have green fingers whatsoever. I defy you not to be able to grow this really successfully. As with any house plant, the trick to watering them is just a soil test. Now, if I feel this, it is still relatively damp, so I will leave that another week or so before I water it. Now, I like to kind of feed my houseplant from the bottom up, so either a saucer at the bottom, which I'll pour water into, and the roots will absorb upwards, or I pop them in the sink for 20 minutes, allow them to suck up as much water as possible, then put them back in the pot and wherever you want them in the house. But that's a really easy one, Aspidistra, or a cast iron plant. My next one is this Ficus elastica, or rubber plant. Now, I've seen these growing in Barbados on holiday and they are huge. It's a tree. They will get up to 30 metres high outside in the habitat that they like. And in the house they can get pretty big too. Mine at home is about 5 foot tall, but I absolutely love it. So it does get big, make sure you've got room for it. And it grows really quickly once it's happy. Again, the damp soil test, I water mine probably once a week. I pour water into the container that it's in and it will absorb it from the bottom of the pot. Gently wipe the leaves with a damp cloth if they're gathering dust or looking a bit kind of unshiny. So I like them to look nice and glossy, so I'll just wipe them off with a damp cloth every couple of weeks. And then I feed them in spring and during summer, probably fortnightly, while they're in their active growing season. Over the winter I don't feed them and I stop watering them as much, so I'll probably go to every 10 to 14 days. But it all depends really on how hot your house is. So if you have the heating really whacked up during the winter months, you will see that the soil dries out quicker. So the important thing is just to feel the soil before you water it. If it's still damp, leave it alone, but if it's really dry, give it a drink. It really is as simple as that. But that's Ficus elastica, or the rubber plant. This is one of my favourites. It's Devil's Ivy, it's called. This has got a lovely variegated leaf. I've got it at home and it trails really cascades. I've got it on like a pot stand, which is about as high as this, and it really trails down the side. It will also grow upwards, so I've got another tendril of it going around a picture frame. It's a lovely plant. It will cope with much lower light levels than lots of plants. So mine is not in direct sun, it's in quite a shady spot of the house, which gets some sun in the morning. Again, I allow it to dry out fully before I water it. So I probably water mine every 7 to 9 days. I just test the soil. This one is really in need of a water. It's fully dry, I can feel it all the way to the bottom. And you will see actually in the leaves, a plant will let you know when it's not happy. So this really starts to kind of droop and feel a bit sorry for itself. And when it does that, you know it needs a drink. With most house plants, you give it a really good drink all at once and then let it dry out fully. I feed it during the springtime and summer when it's in its active growth, and then I won't feed it over the winter, and I will stop watering it as much unless I have a really warm house again and it will dry out. But it's a really easy plant. It's a really easy plant and it really rewards you with its lovely shape. It looks great on bookshelves or in a hanging planter, so very attractive and really nice variegated golden flashes on the foliage of this one. Next one is Peace Lily. Now, Peace Lily is a little bit more fussy, but it does reward you with these wonderful flowers. Well, this is actually an adapted leaf. This isn't you can see it looks the same as the leaf. It's quite clever really, but it's to attract pollinating insects to it, so it looks nice and showy. It will need lower light levels, so you can place it out of direct sunlight, probably a couple of meters into the house. It will need some light, but not direct sunlight. It also doesn't like drafts, so keep it away from doors or any windows that you open regularly. And you can feed it over the spring and summer, but it will need a diluted mix. So kind of half, or add extra water to the normal liquid feed that you would use, because it really doesn't need as much feed as other plants. But really it is as simple as that. And it, it will come up and look this lush all the time. It's a really attractive plant. I have one at home, sat on a shelf, and it just kind of gets on with its own thing really. So not too much fertiliser, out of direct sunlight, and no drafts. And it will look like this, which is very healthy and very lovely. This exotic looking thing is a string of pearls, and I suppose you can see why. Now these are all storage units essentially that will hold water. They're really firm and turgid feeling, so you really don't need to water this a great deal. I water mine every kind of 7 to 10 days during the spring and summer, and then really 3 to 4 weeks over the winter time. It doesn't like too much water on the top because it will cause it to rot, just like any succulent normally would. And it doesn't need any misting. Really don't kind of mist this plant as you might some house plants. It will not like it very much. You can also feed this twice a year, and I would use a liquid seaweed feed for it, just twice a year, spring and then late summer, and that's really all it needs. It wants to be kept away from a window, so not in direct sunlight. Hanging somewhere a couple of metres into the house would be fine, and when the light does catch it, it kind of reflects beautifully. And the tendrils get longer and longer, so it kind of is like a living chandelier. I do really like them. They're not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's beautiful. The last one I want to show you is a Boston fern. Now, this really does like to be kept moist at all times, and it will like a spray of mist. So if you just take a spray like this and regularly mist the plant, it will really love that. It's ideally placed in a bathroom because kind of the bathroom will do that for you. It likes lots of humidity, and it does like to be kept damp at all times, except in the winter. In the winter time, you can allow the top of the soil to dry out before watering again, but really it's essential to keep this plant damp and moist. Now this would usually grow on a damp forest floor, so it's used to more shade and damp, humid conditions, so that's really what you want to try and replicate at home. But this plant actually removes so many toxins from the air, so it's a real purifying houseplant as well. I think it's number 9 on NASA's air purifying plants list, which is pretty impressive going, isn't it? So it's really worthwhile having it in the house. And as long as you keep it moist, place it out of direct sunlight, somewhere like a bathroom, as I mentioned, it will really look after itself, and it has this lovely green foliage constantly. And that's really it. They're my 6 top houseplants that anyone can grow. I've managed to grow them, and it was all new to me several months ago. So they're really rewarding as well, and they make the home instantly feel, well, a little bit greener. So even if you don't have a garden, there's always room for houseplants. For more how-to videos, visit silverlinetools.com.